It becomes very overwhelming really quickly, can't it, when something like that happens? It's real easy to just stick your head in the sand or put your head in your hands and just get feel the pressure. But I think probably what's most crucial, and I know it's easier said than done, but just really focus on what is in your control. You can't control the fact that someone's got health issues and they need to sell the house, or their relationship didn't work out. That's got nothing to do with you. G'day guys, welcome back to another episode of the Build Insight podcast. This week we're doing something a little bit different. So we don't actually have a special guest this week. It is just the two co-hosts jumping in the studio, just have a bit of a chit chat about business, what's going on in the industry, just a bit of whatever. It's not very often that you get to hear just us sort of chit chatting amongst ourselves, or we've got a guest in there with a specific topic. So this week we thought we'd try something different. I'm going to hand it over to Dean to kick us off with the first topic.
Well, Lukey, it's always nice having a chat with you, mate. I think we do a lot of chatting as it is, so let's not try and ramble. But, mate, I know we've had a few really lengthy chats the last few weeks, and I think something that a lot of all trades who run a business, and builders especially, we need staff. And we need contractors, employees. So I think that's something that's always trying to find the right balance. Do you want to, talk us through, mate? What are some things you're doing with your business, with Callery Building, and trying to find the right mix of people, mate? Right staff, the right qualified people, and maybe young guys to train up and girls. Where are you at with it, mate?
It is a difficult one. I've had this, you've definitely hit the nail on the head there. Had lots of conversations with many people over the past few weeks about this. We've had a bit of an evolving team this year. Things are a bit different. Staff definitely seem to be the Achilles heel to just about every business. We've probably one of our biggest challenges is trying to find the right staff for the direction that we're going, more so because we're sort of diving into more of the high performance building and sustainable building ourselves. Being a pretty new topic or a new building style to a lot of people, when we're getting new carpenters, say, approaching us looking for a potential new career, we're trying to explain to them about these systems that we're implementing, and they actually have no idea about them either. So it is bloody tricky. Particularly carpenters, and I'll say that because I would say majority of building companies would employ their own carpenters predominantly. We went through a phase, we did have a tiler on board for a little while as well with a lot of bathrooms we were doing, but yeah, predominantly carpenters. I know, speaking to a lot of builders, not just in SA but around the country as well, I know yourselves, it is a bit of an evolving battle at the moment looking for staff members. There seems to be so much bloody work out there and an incredible skill shortage that seems to be that the mid-COVID bricklayer shortage has gone, and now it's actually the post-COVID carpenter shortage. We get the odd other trade that's actually reaching out looking for a little bit of work. We have, in particular, we actually had a couple of brickies recently, but the odd sparky and plumber that are sort of reaching out as well. But carpenters, I don't know where they are, Dino.
They're moving into state on you, are they, mate? I think you've had one take off to Queensland in recent times.
Yeah, one took off. I think there's a bit of a shift, I suppose, with what I've definitely noticed here. There's a lot of young guys that are super keen to have a crack at doing their own thing. And I mean, hats off to them. That's how we got to where we are. Like, you never know what's going to come out of it until you have a go at it. But yeah, it seems to be a lot of... not many people are overly interested in being an employee anymore. They want to have a real crack at having a go at either be the builder or contract carpenter and sort of float around a little bit.
So, I mean, team building's a big one too. Like, we're bringing new faces and new people, and it's a new personality coming on board. I know over time, we had last year, going back about 12 months ago, nearly to the week, I reckon, a couple of brothers working for us that were, big part of our culture, of our business, and they decided they were going to take a hiatus from carpentry and go through some other things, and that's fair enough. And around the same time, we had an adult apprentice decide he was going to go back to his old career. Wasn't working out for him, so at the time we kind of were like, oh shit, we've got a few spots to fill here, and we're pretty fortunate in our I suppose processes and what we put out there. We actually had a couple of guys approach us that were aware of what we're doing and the type of building we're doing, and they were really keen on getting involved more of the energy efficiency and high performance building. So I think what you put out there sometimes you attract in. I think that's the case for you guys as well. Like you're stepping into that high performance space. I think you're about to start doing your tradesperson's course for the passive house training. So you're actually giving some unique opportunities there as well.
And it is like it. I've noticed that with our current team that we've got already. When we're starting to implement these things, these different processes, or these different building methods, you can just see straight away the cogs ticking over. The fact that once they understand why you're doing it, and they can see the potential about how well it's going to protect, for example, like using the proper weatherproof. Sorry, I've stuffed that up there. When you're using the proper WRBs, like some of the Pro Climber system, that sort of stuff, and you can sort of explain to them on how that's going to protect your timber frame, starting from the outside, working in, like the genuine joy that they're getting out of it as well. So yeah, definitely being able to put that out there and trying to attract, hopefully, some potential team members to come on board that want to be a part of that movement as well.
Yeah, and I think with those opportunities to provide, sometimes it might be a stepping stone as a business for someone to come in and get to where they need to be. But that doesn't necessarily need to be a bad thing. I've had open conversations with people in the past who've helped get their builders licenses, limited licenses for carpentry that we have here in Victoria. But they've also, really benefited us as well, because they've usually the guys who've got a lot of drive and want to aspire to be something else. So sometimes it might be a shorter relationship, but it can be beneficial for both. So I know for us, we've got a good mix of carpenters in our team, and actually got one of our boys tomorrow that finishes his apprenticeship. So we've got a group of us that are going to knock off and go have a couple of beers together for a bit of bonding and celebrate someone's time as an apprentice coming to a close. So is there some
Very
stuff
good.
you guys are doing in the business, mate, to besides just work to focus on for team building?
Well, funny you mentioned that you're going to the pub tomorrow. Actually, we did that last Friday. I know we've had a pretty full on couple of weeks. Lately, I've actually been back on the tools myself, which is, anybody that knows me, that shouldn't happen because I've got definitely a full time office role now. But yeah, just sort of we knocked off at lunchtime last week. Took them to the pub for lunch. It was up to them whether they were going to have any beers or not. That was sort of on them. But I said I'll buy them lunch and just take the rest of the afternoon off and just chill out. So just showing that little bit of appreciation that it's not all about work. There is more to life than just working your butt off and slaving away. So yeah, definitely that. We I don't know whether you've got anything that you try and have sort of one-on-ones regularly with your team or not. I've sort of implemented over the last 12 months. We've got a bit of a questionnaire, just trying to find out more so people's goals. I think that's where you can really start to get someone invested in your overall mission, is when you find out what they want to achieve out of work or in personal life as well. They might have a goal that they want to work towards buying a new car or buying a house, or they're getting married or want a big holiday or something like that. Is there any way during the next little while that you can assist them with that somehow through work, whether they need a bit of time off to plan something or put something in place or something like that. So I think the questionnaire has definitely been super powerful about either trying to get an understanding of whether someone actually truly understands what their job role is. I think that's definitely a big one, especially if you've got a lot of new team members coming on board. It can get a little bit of a grey area on who's actually supposed to be taking the lead on doing what part of the project, or who can delegate in what ways. So something like that. You guys got anything like that?
Yeah, I think there's definitely things that we try and do on a continual basis just to be personable. I mean, we're the builder and the boss, and it's actually funny. I think we sat down with one of the boys that came on deck maybe 6-7 months ago, and I think he'd come from a work place that was probably not as, I suppose, welcoming, and it sounded like for a young apprentice to have a conversation and sit down with the builder just didn't happen. Whereas I'm myself and Darren are very approachable and open door policy. So they're definitely things we love chatting about with our guys and all staff. I probably like to treat, doesn't matter if you're coming on site to clean out the porta toilet or you the client or the main carpenter running the job, doesn't matter. I'll treat everybody the same. And I think that means a lot, but just to show that you're invested into people is great.
Yep.
And a good sign of a good business and a good culture, I think. And I think we definitely look to have a real blend of people. I think it takes all types to really have a great culture. You can't always have the jovial, joking person. Like Darren's probably a massive part of our Backman builders culture. He's loves a joke and very light-hearted at the right times. And I probably come across as the bad cop when I need to be. But I think
Has Daz got the same opinion on that?
Oh, probably. Yeah, everyone knows he's a bit of a larrikin. So I think that's and it's a bloody strong point of his, which, he's fantastic. And don't worry, he's not afraid to give me a clip when I'm maybe need it. So he's he's probably a little brother that I look up to. But the guys all know that we've got a real team culture. And one thing we really like to do is involve our guys in what we've got going on in the pipeline too. So they understand what's coming and where jobs are in council or where a building permit is. And I like to get everyone involved in that side of things. I mean, it gives people assurance that, hey, we've got more work coming and there's no troubles.
Yeah, for sure.
It's we've all probably had jobs fall over at times where you think they're close to coming, mate.
Yep, definitely. What about we continue in that direction then, mate? What about workflow, building a pipeline? What are some outside factors that can really have an effect on building businesses?
Yeah, that's a good topic. I reckon we've had in the past, I reckon we go back to 2020 when we had COVID here in Vic. That was pretty brutal. I reckon we had about $2.5 million worth of construction walk away really quick, and we finished our last project that we had going on. And this goes back before we had a proper pre-construction process. We were still tendering some projects as well as like a bit of an informal pre-construction, really. And we actually had about 3 weeks where we had nothing on. We'd fallen down to nothing. And then we were tendering a big project, and we actually didn't know if we were going to get that project until it's probably only 3 weeks before we broke ground. So I think from our side of things, having our pre-construction process, it's been substantiated now for about three years or so. It gives us some real assurance that we know what we've got in our pipeline. We've got projects at different stages, whether it's real early on inquiry right through to where they're at to signing a contract. So I mean, we've had a funny one. We've also had this year, without going right into specifics, unfortunately, clients of ours have found some health issues going on, and that project stopped. Homes being sold. We've had an unfortunate marriage breakdown and stuff like that. So you get all sorts of things. But
I need to jump in here for a minute, guys, and take a moment to thank our sponsors, Backman Builders, Callery Building, and Build Imagery. Without the support of these businesses, the Build Insight podcast wouldn't be possible. So jump over and show the support for them so they can continue to support the Build Insight podcast.
What it did give us the opportunity to do, Lukey, is when we've had something we thought might be coming up at a certain stage, it gave us the opportunity to then jump into what's in our pipeline and what can we actually focus on to. Can we fast track something? Can we have those open conversations with our clients and say, look, we might have an opening open up, rather than January next year now, we can maybe look at getting you in sort of October or something. I find that's been really powerful. And the flip side too.
It becomes very overwhelming really quickly, can't it, when something like that happens? It's real easy to just stick your head in the sand or put your head in your hands and just get feel the pressure. But I think probably what's most crucial, and I know it's easier said than done, but just really focus on what is in your control. You can't control the fact that someone's got health issues and they need to sell the house, or their relationship didn't work out. That's got nothing to do with you.
Yeah.
But yeah, if you can really narrow in on any other potential opportunities you got there. We had the same thing. We had a little bit of an opening right at the start of this year that we had a lead that I was actually prepared to just completely let go. We don't competitive tender anymore, and they came to us. Well, sorry, the architect reached out to invite us onto the project. It was a referral from the homeowner, but because it was done through the architect, they'd put it up for architectural tender. So we said no, but we had a project fall through, and then the cogs start ticking. You think, geez, what other opportunities are there out there? So we put a proposal forward to the homeowner about, but we said, look, we don't competitive tender, but we're happy to put together a detailed proposal for you if you're prepared to pay us to do our due diligence and put in the time and effort that's actually needed to do so. And that turned into the biggest project that we've ever done. That's under construction at the moment. So you just, it really does help you open your eyes up a little bit, doesn't it?
Yeah, I think you have to be flexible too. Like every client, designer, and project that you're going to work with, being a custom builder, is going to be different. Whenever you've got people involved, there's going to be differences to the last project. We're not doing anything cookie cutter. But yeah, how like, it's funny, isn't it? I know with myself, mate, if I get locked down on worrying about things that I can't control, that's when I find things don't go as smoothly for myself, first and foremost. And then how much are you getting distracted from being efficient, and where's the business side of things sit? What about yourself? Like, do you think that when you get something that's not going right, like a staff issue or a project falling over or something, where do you sit and think, how can I keep evolving here to make sure that I'm growing as a person, as a business owner, as a builder?
Yeah, it definitely takes it out of you. Again, it really comes back to focusing on what's in your control. I think definitely it always comes back to, you've got to put yourself first. At the end of the day, you are number one. I think whether things are running smoothly or not, even at the best of times, running a business can really take a toll on yourself. So I think just sort of taking 5 and having a little bit of a routine for yourself, or even just if it's like a quick walk or something like that, go clear your head, do a little bit of breathing exercises or something like that, just to slow down a little bit, because it can build up very quickly, and it won't take long before the simplest of tasks can just be just chewing up so much of your time. You've definitely got it right there on the efficiency, mate.
Yeah, I know for myself, mate, probably younger days, running a business, I used to try and think I could hold so much in my head, and it was like you're compounding all this information, and everyone's coming to you on site, what's going on here, what's going on there, and it's all in your head. I think really ensuring our business has the right technology in place has been the best thing ever. For the evolution, not just for myself as a director of a company, but as the builder itself, just to really, I mean, we use Slack as our communication process on site, and well, for everything really, and so many times where you just think, got this to do, get it on there, and everyone's aware of this is what's happening. It goes that step further than just your scheduling. Like, obviously, rather than just looking at a calendar all the time, things change, and some of it is out of our control, mate, as we know. So we can't just rely on what's going on in our heads all the time.
Yep. What about yourself, mate? What do you, when things are getting a little bit overwhelming, have you got a little bit of a routine or something you can recenter yourself to kickstart again?
Yeah, I think day to day, keeping to really just the little things. Like, I'm a massive coffee man. A lot of people are. It's cultural, really, especially when you've lived a lot in Melbourne. But for me, just that morning to have that time, have a breath with my coffee before the day kicks off. Love my gym time where it's just switch off and unwind, and probably more so than a while ago where I'd just be every afternoon. Like yourself, mate, I don't really pick up the tools much anymore. It's tool bags quite dusty most of the time. But strategically getting the workouts in that might be best timing for the day. So yeah, I'm not as much of a routine person. I like to think, well, if I've got half a day of meetings, I'm going to hit a hot lunchtime workout. But biggest thing for me, mate, like lifestyle part of it, I've got a bit of acreage and just being outside, just getting that bit of fresh air, go out, check the cattle and stuff like that. It's a big one for me because it's, realistically, we're sitting down with my wife a little while ago, just sort of said, we're sort of living our childhood dream. So, I try and stop myself and be in the moment as much as I can. I'm pretty quickly, I suppose, to think about what's next, and not think about what have I got now and what have I done so far. That's a big one for me, mate. I think just to slow down.
What's your thoughts on? I know this is all these NCC stuff's been a bit of a whirlwind for the country by the sound of it. I think about maybe the only state that's left to implement it is WA. I know we have implemented here. When I say we, South Australia has finally implemented only a couple of days ago. Yeah. You guys were quite earlier than that. What's your take on it, mate? I know it doesn't really matter to you guys because we're building a level above that anyway. But
we can go touch on that, mate, and just talk about what we're doing, maybe what we're doing to stay on top of it. And I'll be able to touch on, like I just asked about the livability to the building surveyor, the inspector this morning, just with ground floor entry to bathrooms. And we've got designers putting in an 820 door, and we've just got to make sure that you're across it. Otherwise, if we don't increase that door size on site, it's our problem.
It is a bit frustrating, that, isn't it? And again, this is not all anybody listening. This is not directed at all designers, because there definitely are incredible designers and architects out there. But it's really, I guess, just most people that aren't documenting correctly. What we need to get them to understand is the drawings that you give the builder, that is literally the instructions on how to build the house. So if it's not documented correctly, how can you expect it to be right when it gets to site? Like, we can't, obviously myself and you, Dean, like, you're so incredibly passionate about what you do, and it's your name is on the brand at the end of the day. So you're thoroughly going over it all the time, but not every builder is like that. And they don't have the time to, micromanage every little detail that goes into it. So that, I don't know. I mean, we've recently interviewed Jerry from Tools as well. There's incredible tools like that out there, no pun intended, that can sort of reference the NCC. You got any input on anything like that?
Yeah, I think it goes down to, it's pretty bloody easy to get a builder's license, really. Like, it's easier than it should be. And there's nothing really compulsory. We've spoken about this before, to increase your knowledge, keep getting education, and things are advancing. So, I mean, we recently had the privilege too, mate, of going and speaking at the Bowens Expo. And that was really refreshing to me. We'll have Andrew Healy on soon from Bowens, and they're the sort of only ones I really know that are pushing a high performance space and better building.
Yeah, they're at the
practices.
forefront for sure.
Yeah, and I mean, that's exciting for myself. We've just got we just did the giveaway for the Pasload nail gun, and I've had awesome young bloke Noah Shield Constructions in Victoria, and having a good chat with him. And I he's more starting out last year or so, and it was like a bit rewarding for myself to push him in the direction of our rep, to say, look, they've actually got some good things that you can go and get some learnings from, and I suppose just sharing the knowledge, mate. It's probably what we're got involved with Build Insight for in the first place. But realistically, you just can't make the excuse of that's all I've always done. We just had as I sort of saying earlier, we had the building surveyor today come out to one of our sites. He's doing the inspection himself for the internal walls and stuff before we plaster, and just having a few chats about him with him about the livability side of things. And I think, some of the times you've got the grey areas of what's on the plan. If you just make a decision like, but that's on the plan, I'm just going to do that, you're not necessarily covered. You could get to the end of the project, an 820 opening for the ground floor for a wet area, you've got to have 820 clearance. Doesn't mean an 820 door cuts the mustard, because by the time you've got your door and you stop, it's below 820. So you get to a finished house, you're tiling in that room, the whole works. Might have a light switch next to that space, and then all of a sudden you've got to rip a door out,
widen the doorway.
You're talking thousands of dollars.
Yeah.
So, yeah, it's. I think it's a time where you got to tread carefully to make sure that you've got the right information. And it's probably why, mate, I just couldn't ever see myself tendering a project again. You just want to have that all down pat with your clients. And don't be afraid to actually speak up. And if you think there's a mistake from a designer and engineer, just speak up and just say, listen, I don't think this is right or the best thing to do here. Because at the end of the day, if you're not going to speak up, no one's going to speak up for you, and then it's going to become your problem.
Well, and also they might not know either. They might genuinely think that that's actually the right way, and you may be able to correct them, and they might thank you for it. You never know.
Yeah. Where do you think, I don't know, if we were in that space, what would you do first, Luke? What would be your first step to, I suppose, getting a better understanding? Building better. I probably wasn't specific there, but building better in general. just to kind of, just to understand. If you've been building a house, a couple of houses a year for 5 years or something like that, and go home and you forget about the rest. What do you do first?
Networking. Networking is probably one of the most powerful things you can do. Ask questions. I think I've mentioned this on a couple of podcasts so far. I freaking hate plugging social media, but there's so much content on there on platforms like Instagram, other builders that are doing it, that are happy to share the information like what we're doing here. Obviously, we don't know everything. Some people, I'd like to think sometimes I do, but I don't. So there's so many resources out there that once you actually start making the effort to look for it, you will find it. Yeah. So I guess that's probably, I don't know, the best thing that you can do if you actually have a half an interest in doing it is just ask anyone. Ask the guy down the road. Reach out to another builder that it's not a competition. The guy down the road, he might also want to catch up and have a coffee and talk about some of the stuff that you're implementing. Just networking, reaching out to anybody and everybody. Yeah,
good advice, mate. I'm pretty excited for some of the guests we've had a big day of interviewing some bloody exciting people on the podcast. So I reckon that'll about do us for our little yarn, mate.
I reckon we wrap it up. Guys, I want to throw this out there to anybody out there. We've got some cool ideas on what we would like to do with the podcast. We're interested in getting a few people on for a panel on specific topics. You don't have to be a builder. You don't have to be a designer. You can be, as long as you're semi-related to something within the building industry, because obviously the Build Insight podcast is to do with the building industry. If you're interested in coming on yourself and doing a bit of a panel chat, we're definitely open to some ideas. Feel free to shoot us a message on Instagram or I don't know whether there's a messaging service or leave a comment on wherever you're listening to this recording. All right, guys. Well, that's a wrap on this episode anyway. Dean, always a pleasure to have a chat, mate. We're definitely going to have another couple of episodes like this soon. We've got some other incredible guests coming up real soon on the podcast. For now, guys, head over and check out what's been going on Instagram. Myself and Dean as well. I've got some incredible building projects underway at the moment in our companies as well. So check out Backman Builders and Callery Building as well to see what we have been up to outside of Build Insight. Yeah, as always, guys, hope you've enjoyed the episode, and we'll catch you on the next one.
Thanks, guys.
Let's cue the disclaimer. I need to let you know that myself and the Build Insight team are in no way, shape or form qualified to give you personal or specific business advice. We strongly encourage you seek out the use of professionals for products or when you are making personal or business decisions. Everything discussed during the Build Insight podcast is our own and the guest opinion and personal experience and is of a general nature only. Hope you enjoyed the episode. Catch you on the next one.